Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. So on CookieCast, it's the darkest timeline. What I truly believed was going to be a short-ish episode turned out to be one of the longer episodes for a while. I had two things to talk about. One of them was a day trip we had as a family, and the other was my least favourite subject, adverts. So one of the longest episodes I've done for a while. There's me trimming the fat, guys. We also got TV, movies, and computer games with the trifecta today. And have I got some reviews for you? Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review. I can leave a review. Please do consider sharing the podcast around. We do love it when you share it. Not sure how that new catchphrase works. Anyway, that's enough from me. Let's get started. Here we go. This is the CookieCast, the darkest timeline. Hello. It is super late, and you know what that means. That means I'm going to talk at length about why it's as late as it is, how it got to be as late as it is, and how that affects this podcast. Do you know something? I don't know what happened. I slipped into some kind of weird time dilation about 3 o'clock this afternoon, and I haven't been able to get out of it. Oh God, it's been the weirdest afternoon and evening and up to this moment in time. Before we get on to that, how is everybody doing? I hope you're well. I want you to be well. I want you to be good. If for any reason you do not feel 100% at your best, do reach out to us here at the podcast. We would love to speak to you. Reach out, say hey, social media, email, smoke signal, just say hey, and we'll say hey back. If for any reason you don't feel like reaching out to us here at the podcast, you can reach out to friends and family. They will love to hear from you. And if for any reason you think, people on the internet, not for me, friends and family, not right now, there are services out there who will also take time to ask you how you're doing. But, as I said, I do hope you are well. So, time dilation. 3 o'clock this afternoon, I'm like, right, it's game time. It's go time. I've got a job that needs to be done. Let's get it done. And I start on that job. Somebody comes to me and they're like, oh, you having a drink? I was like, oh, wait, no, you won't be having a drink. You'll be going home. I'm like, what do you mean I'll be going home? I've got a job to do. They're like, it's very late in the day. And it was 10 to 4, which meant I had to leave in 9 minutes' time. And I was not ready to leave in 9 minutes' time. Apparently, I wasn't ready to leave in 20 minutes' time. And from that point on, every time I've looked at the clock, it's an hour later than it should be. And that just has that knock-on ongoing effect. And I can't shake it. It's like somebody went in and took an hour. And now I'm on the back foot. So it's an hour, funnily enough, exactly 1 hour later than it normally would be. And no dilly-dallying today, just late. So let's get after it. How's your week going? It is week 1 of the summer holidays complete. Obviously, I gave you the rundown, the lowdown, glad I didn't say what I was about to, because there was only one other thing I could think with down in it, and it was rude. Gave you the lowdown on the London trip, but 4 other holiday days. So much so that I couldn't remember what we'd done. On one of the holiday days, earlier today, I was having a conversation like, oh, what else did you get up to? I was like, well, on this day we did this, and on this day, I can't remember. And that was the point where I was like, whoa, I genuinely don't remember. And at the moment in time, I was about to pull the ripcord and be like, look, I'm sure we did something, but right now I can't remember. I did remember. We went on a lovely walk, a fairy trail walk. It was, it was nice, but that place is so freaking expensive. Like, there was us, a couple with a load of gorgeous dogs, and one other family that we saw the entire time we were there. Think about that. I keep having this thing, the variety of places we've been recently, and they're all very quiet. And I keep saying, do you suppose all these places are very quiet because of how incredibly expensive everything is? We'll get onto that shortly because that is one of the subjects I want to talk about today. We did have 4 additional days. Not going to lie, the weekend was very... Now then, I was going to say sediment. I don't think I mean that. Sedimentary. I may have just made that word up. You guys know what I mean. One of those words may be right. I desperately want to Google it right now. I'm going to hold my hands up here. The weekend was very much me just saying, look, I go back to work next week and I need to recover from the week. There was a lot of not doing this and not doing that and not doing the other. And a lot of that's obviously rest and recuperation. So took the weekend back to work today. I'm sure you can imagine what that's like. So some of the things that we did over the few days we had, like I say, a little fairy trail. Took the children to the cinema. Took some of the children to the cinema. Obviously, we will be discussing that shortly. Fairy trail. Yeah, so Tuesday, quiet one. All the kids had activities. Although they all spent time with their friends, which featured a 2-hour point in time in the afternoon where there was me, the dog, and the cat. And I'm like, here we are, ladies and gents. Day 2 technically, but day 3. No, that doesn't work. Day 4 of the holidays. Day 2, depending on how you look at it. 4 children on my own. Pretty sure I said this at a previous holiday. But yes, all the children had time with their friends. So big fan of that for them. And we had the fairy trail and we had the cinema. Talk about the cinema in a bit, unfortunately. But I want to talk about one of our outings. Now, if you've listened to the podcast for more than 5 minutes, I generally work on the principle that I don't specifically badmouth. I won't say this company are awful, this company are terrible, unless I feel very strongly about it. There are times when I've thrown out company names by saying these people were great. Generally, I leave company names out of situations because I don't want to be like, oh, these guys were shit, and then put that out onto the internet. The old, if you haven't got anything nice to say. However, I think I'm going to break my own rule today. Because as a family, we went for a day out. That's the first mistake. Because as a family, we went for a day out. We, however, did not have a day out. We had 2/3 of a day out. And that was stretching it. There is a particular facility, children-based facility, in York and the surrounding area, that has two reputations. One is, it's particularly good there. And two is, it's eye-wateringly expensive there. So much so that I'd never been to this establishment for many, many years, because all I knew about it was that it was fine, it was good fun and all that, but it was really, really expensive. So that was that. As it stood, I think last year, I got some half-price tickets, and even at half price, it was very expensive to go. Yet, half price, away you go. We went, we had a lovely time. I was like, yeah, very much one of those situations where it was great, it was wonderful, fantastic. I'm glad it was half price, because I wouldn't have paid full price ticket price, because it wouldn't have been worth it. So this year, Leon's like, look, we've got this day. There's like, because we've got these like 2 weeks and there's like a week break in the middle and all of this, there's very much a situation where you have to like decide what days to do what and which days to do which, and children are in various different places on various different days. Try and keep some sort of like normality for some of them. You know, if they've got like activities that they do on a weekly basis, and ideally you can get them to those activities, then you should, especially if they're activities that continue through the holidays. So to a degree, you're kind of beholden to, on this day we have to do this thing, so that can't be a day where we go out for the day. Other days, you're like, well, nobody's got anything today, so we can go further afield or whatever. You've got the 2 weeks where you've got to divide all of your activities between 2 weeks. And if I'm honest, we have maybe backloaded the 2 weeks. We've got a lot of great activities next week. So we had a bit of a gap, shall we say. So what do you do with the gap? Well, you have to fill the gap, otherwise people get bored. So what are we going to do? And Lan's like, let's go here. And I'm like, no, it's wildly expensive to go there. She's like, well, funny you should say that. I already have tickets for, I think it was either 3 or 4 of us to go. So that money's already gone, done. So we would only have to pay for the other 50%, and it's just like a day ticket to get you in. So in a way, not as expensive. I'm like, okay, it ticks a box, let's say. It ticks a box. This place is very well known. It's well known for being whatever you want to say, but one of the things is it's known for being busy, so we wanted to be there basically for opening. We got there a little after opening. I was panicking is not the right word. I was worried because I was like, we're going to have a whole parking situation. Now, it's one of those places that they have a car park and then the car park turns into a field. So you're never going to get in the car park. You're going to be parked in the field. Simple as that. Also, I would have thought until I parked in the car park and went, I guess we got here early enough. Interesting. Then the realization that not really many people coming in behind us. Like, nobody really. A car came in behind us. That was about it. Like, interesting. So there's not many people here. There's not many people coming in. Not many people parking. We all got out of the car, and then you've got to have the obligatory return to the car to drop things off that absolutely didn't need to bring with you. whole of the story, we get to the entrance where we are the only people going in at this point in time. Nobody else going in at this point in time. I start to get suspicious at this point. I'm like, something's not right here. As we're going in, I was like, oh, have you been here before? Yeah, we've been before. Okay, well, here's some activity sheets, and here's this, and that, and a map, and all this, that, and the other. This is this is that, blah, 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 blah. We go in. It's not overly busy. And me, being me, I'm like, this is great. Not many people here. There's a lot of activities for the kids to do. Means they can go on whatever they want. No, I'm not really having to queue for anything. There's plenty of space, so you can sort of go around and get on everything you want to. This is perfect. Presume it will get busier as it goes on, so let's get cracking. So we go off on like, typically we go and do a fairy trail to start with. And they've got like, what back in the day would have been a brass rubbing, but nowadays it's just a rubbing. You have like a piece of paper and a pencil. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of like that stuff. I grew up round the corner from a stately home, and we used to go and do brass rubbings. I remember doing not brass rubbing, but doing rubbings on leaves with crayons and paper, and it was a big thing as a child. And it was something I enjoyed. So when it comes up as a 46-year-old adult, I'm like, yeah, I want to do a brass rubbing, sure. So away we went, and we did the fairy trail, and it took, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, and we were done. Out into the park area we went. By this point, it has been revealed that there are some secrets. Secrets we did not know. So, they have a maze. That's right, ladies and gents, a maze. Or they would have if it had grown this year. Because we're growing sweet corn at work, and our sweet corn at work is 3 times the size of the maze. You didn't have any trouble finding your way around it because you could see everything. It was knee height most of the way around. It was like, we thought it was closed at one point, and they were like, well, there's probably no point in having it if you can just see where you need to go. No, it was open. They just hadn't opened the gates at the point we went past. So there was that. They do a variety of shows. They do shows, one of those places that does a show at a particular time and a show at another time and a show for this and a show for that. We've been to them before, and they're very entertaining. The little ones love them. You get to go in, you have a sit down. As a parent, you get to have a sit down. It's a great time. No shows on a weekday. Yeah, no shows on a weekday. They have an internal beach, and you can you can get a deck chair, and there's this treasure hunt mineral stone thing. Everything over that side costs money. You want to find some stones? Great. You can pay for them at the end. I took my eldest to do it last year, and it cost me a fortune in stones. Yes, pretty shiny stones, but still stones that they then put in a bag, charge you a fortune for, and you take a bag of stones home. She assures me she knows exactly where they are. No shows. You have to pay to go to the internal beach. You can go to the craft area. I'm going to go and do some arts and crafts. Yep, you got to pay for 50% of the arts and crafts. Did I mention that this is one of, if not the most expensive activity you can do in York and the surrounding area? Did I mention how eye-wateringly expensive it is to go to this place where you're then charged to do 50% of the activities they have once you're in there? There was a point where my son was like, I want to play mini golf. I'm like, now you're speaking my language. Me and him went off, played some mini golf, and I went, this guy's pretty good. He has the most, that little kid way of holding a golf club where they hold it what's essentially upside down and then use it to hit the ball. He had that going on and yet was still really good. And I looked at him and was like, future golf partner. I was like, hey buddy, would you like to play golf? Yeah. Would you want to go with Daddy and play some golf sometime? Yeah. I was like, lovely stuff. Because we did the golf, all the girls were like, oh, we're off to see one of the animal things. We're off to find out how to groom a pony. I was like, great, we'll meet you there. I, in my infinite wisdom, did not listen where we were supposed to be, me and my son. Finished up golf, wandered around. I'm texting, where are you guys? It's like, oh, we're in the Animal Adventures. I'm like, of course. How silly of me. We walk through, we get there just in time for them to be finishing and coming out. I was like, oh, okay. I saw some animals. They looked great. Something that, as a vegetarian, brings me immense joy is taking my eldest to look at pigs and then naming those pigs whilst saying, oh, that one looks delicious. What's his name? Bacon Sandwich. And I howl with laughter and she goes absolutely apeshit. And it's a lovely little game we play. We've played it for a while now. And the moment I start, she goes fucking mental and I'm just howling with laughter. Let's call this one Pork Chop. Stop it! You're a vegetarian, you can't say that. Definitely can. I was like, look at sausages over here. Good times. So, no shows. You have to pay for the beach. You have to pay for some of the arts and crafts. They've got a giant inflatable pillow that you can go and jump up and down on to your heart's content. So they did that. Now then, one of the aspects for me personally was I was incredibly tired. And all I wanted to do was sit down. And if I could drink a coffee at the same time, I was a happy man. And for a lot of it, that's what I found myself doing, finding different ways to get a drink and sit down. Nearly fell off a bench at one point because I'm pretty sure I fell asleep, partially sat up and sort of tipped forward on the bench. Not a great combination. Now then. There was a point where there was a conversation about there was a lady offering face painting in a variety of different, you could have your face painted, you could have a cheek done, or a variety of other things. She was charging £7.50 for a face paint or £2.50 for a cheek. I said to Leon, I was like, here's one for you. That lady there doing the face painting is stood doing absolutely nothing. If you look round at all the children here, I think we've seen 2 or 3 children with their face painted. There's probably a couple of 100 kids here. And £7.50 face paint. If you were her, would you not do a thing where on a Monday you charge £2 for face paints? And on a Tuesday you charge £3, and on a Wednesday you charge £4, Thursday £5, all the way up to £7.50 And then over the course of the week, work out which day you made the most money and then charge that. Now, my guess is if you charge £2.50, you're going to be doing a lot of face painting and you're going to make a lot of money. There's going to be more kids with painted faces than not, and you're going to make a lot of money. Whereas if you're charging £7.50 and you've got 3 kids that have got their face painted, you're going home hungry that day. Let's put it that way. I just don't understand these things. Like, it cost an absolute fortune to walk through the door there, and then they just want money for everything once you get through the door. It's so baffling. The place was borderline empty, and I'm like, but this is the point. Why can nobody see? So, Leon's due to go back to this place a couple of times over the next few weeks with friends and like friends who've got kids. She texts one of them. She's like, "We've got this time planned to go to this place. Just a heads up, load of the stuff that we would come to see is not running on weekdays." The response she got back was, "Oh, I know, we went yesterday and it was fucking shit." Now then, in a situation like this where money has been spent and day out has been designed to be had and all of that good stuff, Leon's very much one for, well, we're here, we made the effort, we came here, we're here now, let's just enjoy it. And there was plenty for the children to do, even things that didn't cost money. And I was very much in the camp of, as long as I can sit down, I'm not really bothered what you guys do. You know, you want to go on the big bouncy pillow? Go on it for an hour. You know, let's get our money's worth. Leon, on the other hand, was like, fuck this place, let's go home. And I'm like, oh, hang on a minute, you know, she wants to go on the bike things, and these guys want to go on the pillow, and this guy wants to do this thing, and he's loving just being in the park. And she was just like, nah, I'm done with this. Let's go home. And again, I was like, this to me seems like a flaw in the equation here. Because if you've got people who are turning up for a full day out and just going, this is shit, and going home, how long is it before you get people who are turning up and going, this is rubbish, and it cost me a lot of money, and I'd like that money back, please. So yes, as a eye-wateringly expensive experience, not the funnest day out. We went somewhere else that is also eye-wateringly expensive, but it's a nice time. So you kind of offset certain things. I'm about to talk about one of my favourite or least favourite subjects. As I mentioned, I took the children to the cinema. I'll review the movie shortly, but for a long time, there's been a theory that cinemas should advertise what time the showing starts and what time the film starts. Now, I'm very much in a camp of, if you want to show movie trailers at the start of your film, fine. Great. Sometimes it's the only time that you ever really get to see trailers. It certainly was back in the days before the internet. I personally used to love going to the cinema and watching the trailers, because back at a certain point in time, it was the only way you could see what films were coming out, and I loved it. The trailers would all be age appropriate, so you get to see like films that were essentially made for you. Great, wonderful, fantastic. We don't have to, but I want to. We've got to talk about the adverts. we've got to talk about the adverts. I fucked up. I royally fucked up. In my head, the showing was 10:05. We had to be there for 10:05. We were technically running late, and I was excited about this because we'd gone and got like a couple of bottles of drink for me. Kids had all the stuff they needed. I am happy and excited because I'm like, we're going to miss at least 5 minutes of adverts. And if I can drag this out by getting a coffee and all this, but also being here and having the tickets, we could miss 15 minutes of these adverts and just have to put up with the last bit. Then we get to see the trailers, which are cool. Kids all enjoy the trailers. I'll enjoy the trailers. And then we're into the movie. Perfect. I am crushing it in life. I get to the counter. The lady's like, can I help you? I said, yes, we would like to see this film. I believe, because I was like, don't put us on the next showing. That's no good to us. We want this one, even though we're late. I believe there's a showing at 10:05. At this point in time, it's basically 10:05. I'm like, I think they should be all right selling us tickets for the 10:05 showing. It'll be fine. She looks confused. I'm like, oh no, what's wrong? I've got a 20:00 showing. Shit, no, it was 20:00, wasn't it? Oh, bollocks. Oh, God, no. We're 15 minutes early. Oh, no. No. We're early. No, please, no. Honestly, I felt like she was like, yes, we're going to need one of your hands. You can choose which, but we're going to need to take one from you. I imagine that was the look on my face. I was like, oh, right, yeah, no, sorry, I got the times confused. Yes, the 20:00. The whole time I'm like, we're early. And not 5 minutes, like 15 minutes. She's like, cool. Which seats would you like? I was like, these seats here, please. Wonderful. She then proceeded to charge me less because of a whole voucher online booking system error thing. I'm like, this is great. Got the seats I wanted and I paid less for them. Wonderful. This is brilliant. She was like, would you like anything else? I was like, I would like a cup of coffee, please. Because I'm already not looking forward to the movie. And now I've got additional issues. Cup of coffee later. Girls, does anyone need the toilet? No. Cool. I do. I always need the toilet. So I'm going to go to the toilet. You guys wait here. Go to the toilet, go do a little pee. Come out. Still early. The screen is far away. It's the furthest, almost the very furthest one away. I'm like, okay, well, that kills a minute or so. Anyway, we go in, we find our seats, we sit down, we sit in the wrong seats, then we move along, we sit in the right seats. It's a great time. All the lights are up and the screen is blank. And after a few minutes, I'm handing out bottles of water and bits and bobs, and then the lights go, and I'm like, ooh. The fucking adverts. The fucking adverts. Oh my word, the adverts. After 10 minutes. Think about what 10 minutes of adverts looks like. Just one after another of horse shit adverts for products I will never buy. The children I have brought with me are never going to buy. I, out of sheer principle, have said I will never buy a product that has been advertised. Out of sheer principle alone. If you advertise, your company is dead to me. Now, I know somebody could, go, well, I've seen that you have bought this, and, well, that has been heavily advertised. I get it, but anyway. And it just goes on and on and on. 10 minutes in, I'm looking at my watch like, this is abuse. This is abusive. 10 minutes in. 20 minutes in, I'm like, I might leave. It felt like being punched in the face, quite frankly. And at this point, I'm like, I might just fucking go. I might say to the kids, look, you guys sit here, I'll be back in a bit. And I'm just going to go outside and run headfirst into a wall. What is it that these people think they're gaining from all these adverts? Do you think a 6, 7, 8-year-old is running out of the cinema going, man, I couldn't wait to get out of that movie so I could go and buy some Flash? I'll tell you something, these teeth are not white enough. Get me to the supermarket so I can buy some whitening toothpaste. Fuck off. Do you know who needs whitening toothpaste? People who want whiter teeth. Do you know how they go about buying that toothpaste? They go to the shop where they buy toothpaste and they go, which one of these does whitening? The one here on the box that says for whitening. Sold. Do you know what probably doesn't affect that decision in any way? An advert at the cinema for a kids' movie. And yes, I believe that parents go to said movies, but as you've seen, I'm a parent. I'll never buy your toothpaste out of sheer spite for the fact that you made me sit through one of those fucking adverts. It's abusive, it's aggressive, and it needs to stop. And here's the thing. The point I knew how wrong it was the point in time where there was a break. And I say that loosely. A break, a small break. And it said, with a voice, and now it's time for the trailers. And I out loud went, for fuck's sake. Because we hadn't even got through the movie trailers at this point. I do not like a hot cup of coffee. Okay? Not a fan. I know people who will drink a cup of coffee after the water has come out of the kettle, gone in their cup, and the cup is full, and the cup goes to their lips, and those people are psychopaths. There was a point in time that I used to joke that I could make a cup of coffee and leave it stood for half an hour before it even went anywhere near my lips. It wasn't a joke. Genuine fact. I used to go and buy a coffee from a coffee shop many moons ago and drive back to work, take it in, and 20 minutes later go, that's perfect drinking temperature. I do not like a hot cup of coffee. I like a warm cup of coffee. I drank my cup of coffee before the film started. Gone. I cracked open a bottle of drink before the film started. So at the point in time that the film trailers come on, I go, for fuck's sake, because now we've got, another 10, 15, 20 minutes of film trailers. Okay, cool. I'm checking the time. At this point in time, we've been there 40 minutes, 20 minutes of adverts, going on for nearly 20 minutes of trailers. I'm like, we've been here nearly 40 minutes. Could have watched half the film by this point. Just want to point that one out. Film trailers finish. Straight back into the adverts. They were like, we haven't sold anything for the last 8 minutes. Let's fucking put another fucking advert in, shall we? By the time the film came on, I was done. I was just like, I don't even want to watch the film anymore. I just want to go home and not buy anything ever again. I just want to go home. I don't want to watch the film. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to have to go through this. And honestly, the moment I can buy cinema tickets online using a voucher, I will start turning up half an hour late to every single cinema screening. I will be that person that says, oh, sorry, excuse me, can I just get past my seats down there? I'll be that person. Because I can't do it. I just can't do it. I was watching something, I was watching Ghost in the Shell. And an advert came on in the middle of Ghost in the Shell, and I was like, no, I'm good, thanks. So I came out of it. I went back in, and it just played the advert again. I came out, went back in, and it played a different advert. And I came out and I went back in, and it played another advert. And then I remembered that I was on Prime, and yeah, you gotta sacrifice your time to the advertisement overlords. Because nothing in this life's free, even though you pay for Prime. Just like you pay for Netflix and pay for Disney, yeah, every single one of them, including when you pay the full whack for one of those services to make sure you don't have to see adverts, yet it plays an advert at the start of every film you put on. Explain that one to me. Anyway, I just imagine the poor person that had to listen to me ranting about adverts that time. So much so they had to comment on the video and they were like, this guy hates adverts. I really do. So, I watched the third episode of Ghost in the Shell. Not gonna lie, not a strong episode. First half of the episode is the bit from the movie where they're chasing the guy with the machine gun. Animation, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous animation. They had the robot uprising with the Funchcomas, which is very fun. Those characters, the Tachcomas and the Funchcomas, are always a very enjoyable part of the show because they're just the comedy relief. And then we got, this is how you make a synthetic body for the second half of the episode. And I'm like, we don't need this. But yeah, went into a lot of detail. There was a lot of talk and demonstration, etc., etc. And that was the end of the episode. And I was like, yeah, not a strong episode, that one, I'm afraid. Me and Leanne have finished season 6 of Young Sheldon. We're on season 7, which is only a half season, and we are well and truly on our way through the series. Same as always, really. That program is genuinely just a collection of the worst characters known to man. One of the characters, I have said this phrase. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it. I think she's nearly as bad as Skylar. Yep, genuinely one of the worst characters ever created. She is awful. I did highlight this evening that if you took all the characters and split them, in a random way, let's think of a way you could split a load of characters. Off the top of my head, men versus women. And you put all the men on one side and all the women on the other side, which would be the worst group of characters? Turned out it's all the women. Part of me's like, is that done on purpose? Is that to highlight something? I mean, some of the male characters aren't great as, people. But the women in that show are awful. Oh, it's painful sometimes to watch. Like, they've made these characters so unlikable. But I presume that's the point. But why? I stumbled across a TV program, and I don't know what to make of it. I genuinely don't know what to make of it. It has absolutely melted my brain. I saw a thing on the Tinterweb the other day that said, see how many references there are in this intro. So they had it top and bottom. They had the intro to the show at the top or the bottom, can't remember which, and then they showed all the references of that. And I think something said that there were 138 references in a 1 minute 30 intro. And I was like, no way. And the intro started, and one of the first references in the intro was A Better Tomorrow. And I went, I'm sorry, what? And then it proceeded to show all these references, and there was like Fight Club multiple times, and so many random things, but great stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I wonder if there's a list. Let's press the button, do a little search. Right. What will it be? That. Oh no, I've spelt it wrong. Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. This is Okay, so there's just a few here. They've got Trainspotting, Pulp Fiction, Spider-Man 3, Usual Suspects, Lord of the Rings, Wednesday, other homages, Blade Runner, Joker, The Breakfast Club, Fight Club, Resident Evil Extinction, Titanic, and Breaking Bad. There's a video on YouTube that does a lot of the... there's one there, all the movie references. I'm pretty sure I saw a mention that there are 138 film and television references in the 1 minute 30. I've already said this 1 minute 30 intro, and I was like, what the fuck is this? So I looked up what it was called, and it's called Chainsmoker Cat. Yep. It's an anime. It's an animation. It's based on a manga that, they all start in like magazines and stuff in Japan, and then they get popular, and they usually get like a book, and then they'll get a show if they're super popular. That's generally how it works. It's a great kind of method. I can't remember the publication. And it's Shonen Jump maybe, which was like, hey, if you've got like a comic or a manga style thing, we'll publish it in there. If it sells a lot of copies, you'll get your own book, and if you get your own book and it sells a lot of copies, then you might be on track to get your own animated show. And then we get things like Naruto and Bleach and Full Metal Alchemist and stuff like that. And that's, what a fantastic system. So I looked up, and it said that was exactly what happened. It had a
a strip, then it had a book, then the book was that popular that it turned into a show, and it was available on Netflix. Now, the moment I see available on Netflix for something like that, I go, not in this country, it's not. Turns out I was wrong, because sitting on the UK Netflix was the first 5 episodes of Chainsmoker Cat. Having looked it up and seen a brief description of what it was about, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is not a real thing. Surely not. So I had to put the first episode on. So, bear with me on this one. In fact, is there a way to get a... if I just delete that... Okay, here we go. Chainsmoker Cat is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Nyan Factory. It has been serialized in Kodansha Manga Weekly Magazine, Young Magazine, since February 2023, so it's fairly young. An anime television series adaptation produced by Beebury Animation Studio, premiered in July 2026, so it's literally started this month. Here we go. What is it about? Cat girl Yanni struggles to pay rent and spends what little she has on cigarettes, until a simple call with her sister Imoko sparks a far greater crisis. Yanni wants to continue her carefree life, but she receives a job offer as financial pressure builds. Will she commit to this opportunity or her freedom? Now, the clue's in the name, Chainsmoker Cat. It's one of these where there are people, normal human people in the world, and these humanoid animal people. And Chainsmoker Cat is one of these. And there seems to be like a collection of like cat people at one point, and then everybody else is humans. I have watched the first episode and I have watched the first half of the second episode, and if you ask me what's it about, well, you've got as much information as I have, and I've seen some of it. This cat lady just wants to smoke. That's all she cares about. Smoking. She doesn't want to have to work. She's one of these sort of freedom-loving kind of whatever, and that's it. And the animation is gorgeous, and it had a very odd scene in the first episode, which was, interesting. But other than that, it's just basically this character that doesn't want to have to work, but has the whole money troubles, and all they want to do is smoke cigarettes all the time. And that's it. And it's weirdly compelling. I've watched an episode and a half of it. I am just intrigued by the whole premise of it. It's... yeah, it's that. It's weird, and it's great, and it's odd and fantastic, and it's very pretty as well. And yeah. So there you go. There's been some movies this week. I have to caveat the first couple of movies because I didn't watch all of these 2 films. One of them I watched quite a lot of, and the other I watched most of. I didn't see every minute of both of these films, so my reviews are a little skewed by the fact that I didn't see all 100%. Let's start with the first one. Point being is, I showed my eldest the trailer for Avengers Doomsday, and I said to her, you've got some catching up to do, because I haven't seen the films between there and there, and you haven't either, to my knowledge, so we should probably at some point catch up, because we've got quite a few. Turned out, I think we had 3. She watched all 3. I didn't watch the third one. a very long story. But the first one that we'd missed was Captain America Brave New World. I watched, I don't know, 75-85% of this one, and it's hands down one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. It was fucking atrocious. If that is what Disney / Marvel / whoever are putting out these days, they should be fucking ashamed of themselves. That film was awful. Firstly, I'm going to get this right out on Front Street. I've said this before on a previous podcast. Anthony Mackie, not a leading man. Straight up, he is a best friend, a sidekick, a B character, not a main character. He is not strong enough to carry a movie, and that was super evident in this film. Number two, I do not subscribe to him being Captain America. Just because he was given the shield does not a Captain America make. There's the whole super soldier thing, which is addressed in the movie, but not addressed in the movie like, well, you should be a super soldier too. It was addressed in the, you don't need to be a super soldier. No, you kind of do. That's kind of the point. Oh, but there's more to being Captain America. No, the whole premise of the story was that it was an average guy who wanted to be essentially a hero. And then they injected him with a load of chemicals and, made him a superhero. So you've got that. It's one of the worst films I've ever seen. It's fucking awful. That should not have been made. It should not be there. It should not be accepted as a thing. It was terrible. I didn't see it all. Mostly because I couldn't bring myself to watch it, because in the first few minutes I was like, is this what this film's going to be? Because if it is, I can leave now and I'll lose nothing. So, jump to the next night. Thunderbolts. Now, I'd heard a few things about Thunderbolts. I'd heard that A, it wasn't actually too bad. And B, it didn't quite do the numbers that Marvel were hoping. Well, that's a real mixed bag. Let's find out. I watched a lot more of this one. Again, didn't see all of it. And here was what I thought. It was fine. One of the big problems you've got with a film like this is that their entire premise is, these are the bad guys. We want you to like them. Which a lot of the time is largely centered around you having to forget that they were previously the bad guys. Now, when you've got somebody like the Winter Soldier, Bucky, whatever, you can give him a pass because he was brainwashed. It wasn't his choice. It was brainwashing. So, you get a pass for a brainwash, don't you? Hawkeye got brainwashed. We let him off. So, Winter Soldier, you kind of let him off. Anybody remember what Ghost's motivation was? Because her motivation was just being straight up like bad because, she'd had a poor upbringing or something. It was more complicated than that, but they really were doing these are the bad guys, but they're the good guys in this one. You can imagine. It did raise an interesting sort of conversation between me and my eldest. There is a character in it, I won't spoil it for you, but there's a character in it who has superpowers, but if they use their superpowers, they become a bad guy, essentially. So from that point on, once they have this realization, they go, oh, I can't use my superpowers, because if I do, I'll be a bad guy. Then I was like, can you imagine that situation? You've got superpowers, but if you use them, you'll be evil. So we had a long conversation about that. It was fine. Few aspects that I was like, what are we doing here? The Winter Soldier is a congressman. I'm like, yeah, let's forget all those people you murdered, shall we? Yep, forget all those murders. Pretty sure you were a Russian spy at one point, weren't you? Yep, bet the American people love voting for that. So yeah, very inconsistent plot hole type things, but there we go. My eldest watched the Fantastic Four movie. I bowed out of that one. I should probably sit down and watch it. I did see a variety of bits, but nothing really substantial, I would say. I didn't really agree with the casting for that film. It was at the height of Pedro Pascal's in everything, so let's stop liking Pedro Pascal. The lady that plays Sue, I didn't overly agree with the casting. The guy that plays the Human Torch, didn't really agree with the casting there. And the guy from The Bear playing the Thing, I was like, I mean, he's CG, so what difference does it make? Interesting after credits scene, I will say that much, but obviously that just leads into what we've got coming later this year. So I know what you think. I know what you're thinking. What film did you see at the cinema? Well, I wanted to take the kids to see the new Minions film. I thought it was going to be a safe bet to take the kids. Even my eldest, I thought we could just about scrape getting everybody through seeing the Minions. And then my middle daughter went and saw it earlier in the week with her friends. Scuppered everything. I'm like, well, I'll just take the girls and we'll go and see it anyway. Me and Leanne go back and forth. She's like, what else is there? I was like, other than maybe Moana, nothing. She's like, why don't you take them to see Moana? I was like, couple of reasons. One, it's a Disney movie and we pay for Disney Plus. And two, it looks fucking awful. We ended up with a conversation where it was basically, yeah, but if you take them to see it at the cinema, then you don't have to see it at home when it comes onto Disney Plus, so on and so forth, especially if it's going to be terrible. Somehow that worked out to be weird logic and made sense. The next thing, we're off to see Moana. I did not want to watch this film. I did not want to enjoy this movie. And I thought I had a safe bet on my hands because from all the trailers I'd seen, it looked terrible. We go in, we sit through 40 minutes of adverts and trailers, and then we get the movie, and the film starts, and it's really, really bad. It's so bad. Oh my, it's so bad. It reeks of people saying other people's words and not really knowing how to deliver them because you don't want to do a bad job, but you can't put your own spin on it, but you got to do it yourself. So you just like, it's like they might as well have had cue cards because it was so bad. And I'm like, cool. It's living up to what I expected. We'll never need to see this film again. Then off she goes to find Maui. And we all know who Maui is because it's the same Maui from the first one. Well, not the first one, from the animated one. It's Rock the Dwayne Johnson. Well, we've all seen the trailers by now. It was only going to get worse from that point on. Dwayne Johnson is in some kind of strange muscle suit that I'm guessing they couldn't get the size right because it looked awful in the trailers. He's got a silly long-haired wig on and he looks about 500 years old. So it looks like a great combination to start with. I was like, here comes Maui. The film's about to get worse. And then a weird thing happened. Obviously, Disney have done that thing. Since the trailers have come out and everybody's complained about what Dwayne the Rock the Dwayne Johnson looks like, they've obviously made some changes. So they've toned down the muscle suit. They've done nothing about how old he looks. He just looks quite old in it. And the hair, it's just the hair. So, okay. The look is just odd at this point. But it's fine. Moving on swiftly, we get to the fact that they have made some changes. They've made Maui more arrogant. It's all ego, and yeah, weirdly it starts to work. You're a bit like, huh, why does it make him weirdly more likable? And the film starts going on, and they do the welcome song, and it's not as bad as you imagine it was gonna be. And Maui's just basically a full-on absolute dick. Like, he's awful at points, but it kind of makes him likable. And the film's going on, and I'm watching it, and all of a sudden I go, oh no, he's going to make me like this film again. Dwayne Johnson has done this to me before. One of my favourite films is the film Pain and Gain, and I truly believe that is because Dwayne Johnson is fantastic in it. And I'll stand by that till the end of my days. He straight up makes that movie. He was the cream and cherry on the top of that sundae. It was perfection. So this is not the first time I've had to deal with this. And as the film starts going on, I'm like, they've done Maui really well because they've made him worse and more arrogant. You can kind of understand it better, and then there was more bits from the original that kind of slotted together better, and how like his motives were more understandable when it's laid out in a slightly different way. And you carry on and you carry on, and they've made a couple of subtle changes here and there just to make changes for the fun of it. And you've got Jermaine Clements is doing the voice of Tamatoa, so that's kind of cool. Tried to see if Alan Tudyk was still the voice of Hey Hey, but there's no mention. So not sure about that. You carry on and you carry on and you carry on, and you get to the back end, and you're like, hang on a minute. They potentially saved quite a bit of money making this film because, yes, there are a variety of different things that they'll have had to CG and stuff, but not loads. Like, you've got the whole Kakamora thing and a couple of other bits, but up to that point, it's essentially two people having a conversation. This is a Disney movie. They'll have had a budget for this film, and they'll have spent not a lot up to this point, so I wonder what they did with all the money. Oh, they took all of the money they'd saved through the majority of the film and absolutely poured that money into the CG for Takar. And my word, that monster looks incredible at the back end of that film. I hate to say it in so many ways, but it was really good. By the time we got through the first bit of the film, basically up to the point that she finds Maui, it's terrible. The acting's bad, the music's fine, but most actors in it at that point are not good. They're poorly cast, they're poorly delivering that film to you, the audience. From the Maui point onwards, it's great. It's genuinely a great film. So much so that when I came out, I was like, hey kids, what do you think? They all loved it. I was like, which is better, the original or this one? They were like, I actually think it might be this one. Me and my eldest had like loads of conversations about like, what about this, what about that? I was asking them all what was their favourite bits, and they all had like various different bits. We were talking about how amazing Takar looked. There was just so much right about it that it was one of those rare occasions where you go, oh wow, it might be better than the original. And that's That's weird. I had this like weird emotional moment so far through the film. I said to my eldest, I was like, I remember a little girl who all she wanted in this world was the necklace from Moana. And I said to her that if she had her vaccination done and had it done real well, that I would get her the necklace. And she was like, I was like, did she get that necklace? And she was like, yes, she did. I was like, oh, she must have had that vaccination well then. And she was like, no. I was like, no. But yeah, it was a weirdly emotional experience for me. Personally, I really enjoyed it, and I hate myself for it, but I did. And I hate to say this, but I do think that it was possibly Dwayne Johnson that made that film, and that feels weird to say. So let's talk about something else. Let's talk computer games. I've had a weird run of computer games recently. Stellar Blade, I was having a real off time with it to the point where I thought I was going to have to let it go. I was like, I'm going to have one more go at going backwards in the game. And luckily or not, depending on how you look at it, I managed to go backwards and I managed to get a load of stuff and level up a lot more. I haven't tested to see if I have got enough of a level to be able to do the bit I'm stuck on, but I have found a way to go back and do a load of side missions and level up quite a lot. Resident Evil Requiem, played through to a point where it's now all Leon all day, so it's super actiony. They've added a new element into the game where you get it's a bracelet, and for every zombie you kill, you get money, and you can use that money in a shop system to get better weapons, to upgrade weapons, to buy things like body armor and all sorts of stuff like that. Great addition to it as a game, and it's really enjoyable. I just wish they'd done it as two separate games. The Grey stuff is a game in itself. The Leon stuff is a game in itself. I don't feel they needed to do the two together. They could have done it as, why don't you pick who you want to play as first and then play as the other one later if you fancy, but it definitely should have been split in two. Final game for the week, as a gift, an anniversary gift, I got Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. One of those, again, that I swore that I didn't need a fifth copy of. That's not a joke, so just bear that one in mind. A fifth copy of this game. But it turned out I actually did, so I got it. Very quickly, I will say this: they have made it a lot worse in a lot of places. They've made the climbing worse, and they've made the fighting worse. Two of the tightest parts of that game, they decided to go all out and make it 10 times fucking worse. However, there are a lot of improvements to the game, and just about getting on with it. It's been a bit of an up and down relationship so far. I feel that they've not made it better, and I feel that they've probably made it worse, but I'm waiting to give a proper verdict on that one. I've only just really started it, but I've got the boat and, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So we'll see on that one. I'm hoping to get Resident Evil finished this week, which will give me more time for playing being a pirate. But yes, that's more for next week. And that's it. So until then, I'm going to catch you later, tatty buys. So there we go. What do you think of that? Another one gone, another one done. Big thank you for watching, big thank you for listening, big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That is it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
This is a Cookie Cat production.